Today on Politics Unplugged, the public is still pushing back on a planned ICE detention facility in Surprise. We speak with one of the city's leaders. President Trump gives his State of the Union address as polls show the public has soured on him and his policies. And state leaders moved hundreds of bills last week ahead of a key deadline. What died and what survived? The panel breaks it all down now on Politics Unplugged. Good evening, I'm political editor Dennis Welch, and this is Politics Unplugged. The Department of Homeland Security is moving forward with plans to open a massive ICE detention center facility in Surprise, but it's facing growing opposition. DHS opened up the public comment period and got about 7,000 responses within 48 hours. I'm here to talk about the issue. Johnny Melton of the Surprise City Council. I want to thank you very much for stopping by here, Councilman, and talking about this. This is something you've been dealing with now for a few months now. Let's start with let's start with how this all began, because you learned about this through the media, correct? You haven't received any communications from DHS or the feds at all on this.
The city has not received communication from DHS as of yet. That's right.
Yeah, and is it maintained that way? Have you guys tried to reach out, have any kind of conversation 100%. Back and forth with them?
Absolutely, at every level, right? So from our public safety, our city manager, even all the way to the governor's office. Everybody has been trying to reach out. And Congressman Gosar had success, right? Congressman Gosar helped us. He sent a letter to Secretary Noem, and they did respond to him with a memo. So that was our first really confirmation that this wasn't just a news story. It was confirmed DHS was going to move forward with this plan. Yeah, and
what's your thoughts on this when the federal government steps in and plans something so significant like this? It's a big impact on your city.
That's right.
Without contacting you at all, what's the thought process there?
Well, first of all, you can see the implications of this. Just start with public safety, right? As our police officers, our fire emergency. This is gonna, we need to know what their commitment is to this, because we don't know. Yeah. We don't know if the federal government going to provide medical care. Do we have to respond? So all these questions, just from public safety standpoint, this is things that we need to know so that our public safety officers know they can plan how much it's going to cost us. So that's just one aspect of it. But there's also, how do I tell my neighbors? What do I tell my neighbors? What do I tell the residents of El Mirage? This facility is right across from a neighborhood. Yeah. It's next mile away is a school. It's a high school and a middle school. What are we supposed to tell the parents there? Yeah. So there's just a limited amount of questions that we're struggling to provide answers to our residents.
Yeah. And what are you telling them? I mean, one of the great things about city government is, you are closest with the constituents there. So I'm sure I know you've been taking a lot of questions on this, because we've seen some jam-packed council meetings recently. What are you telling them, either at the council meetings or when you see people out in public? They're like, hey, councilman, what's going on here?
All right. Well, the number one thing is we're doing everything we can to make contact. The city sent a letter asking for specifics. The DHS did send a memo back to Congressman Gosar, but it was broad strokes. It was, high-level stuff. We are looking for more specific details. So we are, and when we go to D.C. next month, we're going to try to get a meeting with DHS and maybe work through some of these things.
Yeah, and any more specifics that you want to hear from this? There were several questions that Gosar got answers to. Confirmed. The size of the facility is going to house about up to 1,500 folks there. There were questions about police and fire service and things like that. Do you have questions about police and fire service to this area, what it might do to your city?
Absolutely. So if there's going to, you can imagine this could attract protests, which means my Surprise City PD will have to be there for safety and order. Who's going to pay the overtime for that? Yeah. Is that something my taxpayers have to pay for? Same with fire. If we have to use emergency resources to respond to a healthcare, a medical emergency within the facility once it's operational. So again, those are just minor, but there goes beyond that. What about infrastructure? what does my wastewater?
Because I think a lot of people watching may not understand, if you're not familiar with city government, all the work that goes in to supplying facilities like that, because you do got to have the infrastructure. There's going to be an impact on water, wastewater,
that's right.
All those other things, correct?
That's right. I mean, they can. The federal government will make their modifications. They will pay to transform this warehouse into a facility, but again, they do not have to comply with our codes or our code enforcement. So. What kind of assurances, as we as a city, what can we do? Are we allowed to bring our code enforcement? Can we talk about that? Can we talk about what this impact in the wastewater? And then, so that's just that's just the mechanics of it. But there's also the human element, right? My residents want to know that these detainees are being treated humanely, right? So there's another aspect to that.
And that's interesting. Are they saying that to you, that they want assurances?
Absolutely.
I mean, what are you hearing from your constituents about stuff?
Those, if you watch the city council meetings, we've had 2 since the news broke. And in that time, about 100 speakers have come to the call of the public. They've come talk to us. And the overwhelming number of them oppose the facility, right? So one common argument I hear a lot about is the treatment of the detainees. Will this warehouse be habitable?
Right? I mean, from our understanding from the GOSAR letter, DHS is telling him detainees are going to spend anywhere from 3 to 7 days there before they're transferred to a larger detention facility. Do you trust what you're hearing from DHS?
I would like to hear more specifics. I mean, I'm glad I'm glad they said that, but I would like a little more. I need a little more. It could be, and I'm not asking for too much, but what about would they allow our city officials to maybe inspect it to see if it's compliant? That would be a good gesture. That would be just a small gesture to know that that the people there are being treated humanely. Now,
a big thing for the city has been there's federal preemption that you feel the city is handcuffed and can't really do you can't really stop them from doing this. Would you like to see more work from the state level or others to try to stop this from happening? I mean, given a choice, would you like to stop this from coming to your city?
First of all, let me just pretend I am not an attorney, right? From where I'm sitting, though, based on the legal guidance that I've received, and just looking at across the country, seeing other instances of this, other examples of these facilities going up, we do not have a pathway to stop it. Okay, if you look at the jurisdictions that were successful in moving the DHS facility away, it was always private owners. They would before the sale, they would come in and pressure the private owners to not sell to ICE, and that's how they avoid it. We are dealing with this after the sale, and so I can't find an instance where once the federal government has procured the facility, a city successfully turned them away.
Well, let's wrap on this. What's next on the city's agenda with this? Is there going to be any more meetings about this that are public meetings where the public can come and weigh in on this?
Well, and the public can always talk. Anytime we have a city council meeting, we have one next week. We always have a call to the public, usually, most often. And so we're always going to give residents, we're surprised, we listen to our residents. You have a time to come talk to us, we'll listen to you. The next step for the city is to go to D.C. and hopefully get some more answers.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for stopping by here, Councilman Melton.
All right.
And up next, I'm bringing in our panel to talk about all of this week's major headlines, including that marathon State of the Union address. That's next on Politics Unplugged.
It was long, but Democrats called it wrong. And the FBI director travels to Italy on your dime to watch hockey and pound some brewskis. This is your political roundup. It was a State of the Union for the record books, clocking in at roughly 1 hour and 45 minutes. President Trump blew past the previous record set 26 years ago by Bill Clinton. During the address, Trump vowed to keep his tariffs in place under a new legal framework. He said this just feet away from a stone-faced high court that had just declared the president's key economic policy to be unconstitutional. Responding for the Democrats, Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger said the president wasn't telling the truth about the hardships Americans are currently facing. And who knew hockey was so political? FBI Director Kash Patel took a lot of heat for using taxpayer money to chug beer with the U.S. men's team after winning gold at the Olympics. And finally, Brady Tkachuk, the son of a Valley hockey legend, had to shoot down a fake video posted by the White House. The AI-generated video falsely shows the newly minted gold medalist bad-mouthing Canadians. And that is your political roundup for the week.
And let's bring in our panel to talk about all of that. Republican consultant Marcus Dell'Artino and Democrat Roy Herrera. Thank you all for being here. Again, record-setting State of the Union. We just want to get your top-line response to that. Was this an effective speech, given that the president was going in there with some real headwinds, unlike this time last year? His polls have showed that people, again, have soured on him and his policies.
Well, I think it's historically going to happen in a midterm election, right? I mean, historically, the party that's in power is going to lose some seats. I think he doubled down on his agenda. Certainly, we heard about immigration, and he doubled down on that. He doubled down on tariffs very hard. I want to hear a little bit more about transition. I mean, essentially, the tariff is a transition into a national sales tax, getting rid of the income tax, which I thought was the real mic drop of the moment for a policy nerd. And so, we're going to have to see how this translates over. You're not going to know 2 days after the State of the Union. You're going to have to wait a week and see how it's sunk in with the people.
And get your top-line thoughts on the speech the other night.
Well, I didn't think it was particularly effective. I thought it was a speech that, and this is not surprising to me, was filled with a lot of lies, a lot of untruths. I mean, when he talked about the economy, he talked about how hot the economy was and how inflation was plummeting and wages were rising. None of those things are true in real world. And I think most Arizonans understand, that the cost of living is going up, groceries prices are going up, healthcare prices are exploding. And we didn't hear anything from the president as far as solutions to those problems. In fact, he really acted as if we've won on all of that. And I think most people that are living, day-to-day, real people lives understand that that's not true.
And one of the big moments, obviously, the president tried to get Democrats to look bad on this. He asked Congress to stand if they thought government's job was to protect Americans over non-citizens. Democrats stayed in their seat. Republicans all stood. Within 48 hours, there were ads in key swing states showing this. Was this a bad look for the Democratic Party?
I don't think so. I mean, I think, this was obviously something that he had staged deliberately, but this was coming after him talking about a murder in North Carolina in which he called the perpetrator of that an illegal alien. That's not true, obviously, and I think it was an attempt, as he usually does, to fearmonger and to divide us. So when we weren't talking about the economy, he started going into attacking the Democrats, which is his typical playbook. But again, no solutions to what people are dealing with every day, particularly when it comes to affordability.
And it didn't sound like there were any course corrections that this administration was planning. Should he have maybe been more aggressive and signaled more changes, given the fact, again, you've seen the polling out there, what were strengths with this president a year ago are now weaknesses? I'm talking about the economy and talking about immigration.
Yeah, I mean, I was back a little bit to the healthcare point. I was a little excited that he was going to go after insurance companies who were making record profits, and I think it's coming out of our pockets. And so I thought that was a bright new moment. Listen, this president has always doubled down on his initiatives. He's not going to talk about tweaking at a State of the State speech. It will probably, if there is going to be tweaking, it'll happen quietly from a staffer, a secretary of the department, but not from the president.
All right. Do you think this is going to change any numbers moving forward? Going to change anything for the midterms? Or do you think, like most of these State of the Union speeches, they're kind of forgotten about a week after?
I don't think it's going to change anything ultimately. And also I think some of it is because I'm not sure the president, I mean, to Marcus's point, he does always double down, triple down. So if his numbers are problematic right now, like they are in polling, the real concerning thing, I think, if you're a Republican, is it doesn't seem like he's particularly concerned about changing anything.
Okay, and get your response to the Democrat response. The newly elected Virginia governor, she gave that response. She said that the administration's not telling the truth about the hardships that American families are facing right now. Was this a good message? Do you think this hit?
I think it's the best message because, again, I think this is what people are facing every day. The cost of living is higher. Healthcare costs are going up. Housing is still unaffordable for many people. And that ultimately is what people are looking for solutions to, and he's not offering any of them. Again, I didn't hear anything new at all as far as what he would be addressing from a policy perspective going forward to fix these problems.
Okay, and get your take on the Democratic response, the one that's always kind of forgotten about on the State of the Union night. You know what I mean?
You're stealing the thought right out of my head. Nobody's watching that. I mean, the press doesn't even report about it afterwards. But I would say, look, it's a glimpse into where the messaging is going for Democrats into the midterms election. And if you haven't figured it out, it's about affordability, and everybody's singing from the same bandwagon. Meanwhile, interest rates just dropped, I think, last night or this morning on housing, which could make it more affordable. I have no idea what he's got in line for beef prices. I'd be a little excited about that, having to feed all my nut bags in my house. But, that is the challenge for this White House, is to address the affordability and get prices down ASAP.
All right, we'll have to take a quick break. And when we come back, a flurry of bills trying to beat the clock at the state legislature when Politics Unplugged continues. And to get more in-depth on the issues, check out the Politics Unplugged podcast. This week, I'm joined by political pollster Paul Bentz. The Politics Unplugged podcast drops every Sunday evening wherever you get your podcasts. And it's bringing the panel back in. Thanks for sticking around. A really busy week at the Capitol. It's what's known as crossover week. It is a key deadline. If lawmakers' bills don't continue to move into the other chamber, they're essentially dead for the year. Hundreds of bills were moved. What are some of your takeaways? What are some of the key bills that are still alive, or which ones died this week that were particularly interesting?
I'd have to go back and look because there wasn't that many bills that died. Mm-hmm. I think there was probably 3 on when it went to the floor. There was a significant amount before getting to the floor. And what happened this week that's just different is that there was a little bit of a ruckus, shall we say, in the House, and the Democrats struck every bill from a consent calendar. A consent calendar is a faster method to get your bill heard and adopted. But that strategy forced them to then stay until, I think it was 5:15 in the morning, just doing these third reads to get that bill out. And so there was a little contention, shall we say, in the chamber.
Yeah, any trends you're seeing from some of the bills that are passing this year, other than Republicans insist on passing and sending bills to the governor that she's already vetoed once or twice before?
Well, that was going to be my biggest takeaway. I mean, all these bills that they considered until 5 in the morning, there wasn't a single Democrat bill out of those bills that were being considered. And a lot of the bills that were being considered were either bills that had already failed in committee, or we know, either because they've already been sent to the governor's office or because we just know what the governor's position is on an issue, are going to get vetoed. So a lot of that, really was a waste of time. And another reason why, I don't know which legislator had this idea of having a time limit on session where session would be over in 90 days. I love that idea because I think a lot of things, there you go. A lot of things that happen down there, I think, are a waste of time because ultimately these laws are not going to get passed. They're not going to get enacted.
The bill that we should be talking about is the one that's missing, and that there was no tax conformity bill. And
yeah, I was just going to bring that up because that is something that still hasn't been dealt with, or they've been dealing with it, but they've not come up with an agreement.
Right, and everybody's at their accountant's office about right now trying to get their taxes together, and that's an important component. It's also an important component when you're putting together a budget. And keep in mind, we've also got some significant impacts in the state of Arizona with the H.R. 1, so SNAP benefits, Medicare, Medicaid, all these things are going to be additional expenses. And how does that affect the budget, and how much money do you have to work with on tax conformity? Yeah,
and if tax conformity, I know that's a really nerdy policy thing, but if people are confused when they're filing their taxes, is that something voters take out politically with the midterms coming up? And if so, who do they blame for this?
Well, it certainly could be an annoyance to voters, and it's another reason why, and to the extent that anyone's mad, I think they're just going to be mad at government in general. I mean, but ultimately, that's another reason why I think there needs to be a compromise on the budget, which is ultimately something they have to get done, as it relates to conformity, and also Prop 123, their education funding initiative that needs to go to the ballot. I mean, all of these things are interconnected, and until there is a bipartisan deal on something like that, then we're going to be doing these 5 a.m. sessions on more minor bills.
Yeah, and it's Prop 123. Now, this is the education funding mechanism. It was passed under the Ducey administration about 10 years ago. It is set expired. They want to redo that, and what it does is it takes money out of the state land trust and puts it into K-12 funding. Is this something that's going to get done this year?
I think for a whole host of geeky financial reasons, it should, because it actually helps out the general fund budget. But the big sort of contention right now is the Republicans would like to enshrine ESAs in the Constitution. Obviously, the Democrats do not want to do that. And I would remind everybody, the viewers at home, how hard it is to change a ballot proposition once it's passed by the voters. And so really that's the large contention. From what I hear, is the Republicans are maybe willing to let go of that particular issue in order to then be able to access more of this money for the general fund.
Yeah, and you think the governor's willing to negotiate with that, in the past? And right now we're seeing the business community pushing for a clean extension of Prop 123. They don't want to mess with it, but as Marcus was saying, Republicans want more strings attached on how that money could be doled out. Do you think the governor can cut a deal with Republicans to get this done this year?
I mean, I don't think any deal that would enshrine ESAs into the Constitution, for example, would be something that any Democrat would support. I mean, I think to the extent that the governor has proposed things related to ESAs, they've been common sense reforms to make sure that there's not fraud, waste, and abuse in the program. And obviously, those suggestions, those proposals have been met with a no from the Republicans. And so my hope is that ultimately it is a clean 1-2-3, like the business community wants, because one, that will pass at the ballot and it'll get support from everybody, and it wouldn't make this a partisan issue, because it shouldn't be.
Yeah, and speaking of the ballot, I mean, they are referring a lot of issues again to the ballot. How long is it going? Are voters going to have to do? How much homework are voters going to have to do this year? To go through all that.
Well, it's even more complicated than that, because it means your ballot is longer, which means ordering more paper, which means more time, which means more money. Listen, how these traditionally go is, look, we're going to shoot the HCRs out of the House, the SCRs out of the Senate, and we're going to hold them in the separate chambers and have a negotiation of what's in everybody's best interest as far as voter turnout to put on the ballot. Who's got a campaign? Who's well-funded? Who's organized? These are the questions that go into what's going to go at the end of the day. And so we've got some time. Usually those happen almost at the end of session.
Is this a representative of a failure of an overall legislature? Because, the public elects these folks to go down to the Capitol and look at these issues and come up with solutions. They're clearly not doing that with all these bills that they're sending to the ballot. They're saying, you guys go ahead and make the decision, because we can't cut a deal or come with a compromise.
It could be viewed that way. I mean, the other overlay here, of course, is that we're in an election year. And so the desire, I think, to have big bipartisan compromises is even less and more so, because the fact that we're in an election year, we don't want the other side to claim victory on anything. So that could also theoretically mean that the session could end sooner, because ultimately people are already filing, candidates are already filing to run for election. They want to start campaigning. So hopefully that results in things being quick. But to your question, I do think that everyone could do a better job meeting the desires and needs of real solutions that people want.
All right, and just a wrap on this. The FBI director took a lot of heat this week, flying to the Olympics to go chug beer with the USA hockey team. Good use of taxpayer money, bad use of taxpayer money?
Yeah, Roy, what do you think? Well, here's the problem in the setup is that this is the FBI director who months before criticized people for abusing taxpayer dollars. I don't think it was a good idea. He probably should have paid for that out of his own pocket, but I'm glad he had a fun time.
All right, we'll end it right there. That is all the time we have. Be sure to join us next week for more Politics Unplugged. Good night.